Okay, I think we're live. Let me just see it come up on Facebook. There you go. Okay.
So it attaches to Facebook. Huh? That's cool.
Yeah, it connects right into Facebook and it goes from there. So it's pretty. That's the nice thing about it, because Facebook changed how they do some of the stuff, and they don't let you. Okay, they invite people into. We're live. Let me just see it. There we go. Had to delete, turn off the sound, otherwise it's going to feed back. Yeah. We'd have a nice loop. So we have you, Master Roy Uttech, Regional Director for Region
19.
19.
Yeah, Region 19. We and I took it over from Master Wick, that was the original regional director, right? Actually, we were part of Region 1, and Grandmaster Shin split us up because Alaska was so far away. The regional director was having a hard time, getting up there. So he assigned Master Wick. And then he fired Master Wick, and he called me up and said, "Hey, I fired Master Wick. Can you do this?" I said, "Okay."
Yeah, I've heard some of the stories. Sir, was he really asking, or was he just kind of saying, was it asking with just more like, "No, you're going to do it"?
When Grandmaster Shin called, he always asked, but he was saying, "Do this," right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So there was, that was just the unspoken rule, for sure. The other thing was I never called to chit chat with Grandmaster Shin. If I called, it was because I had a question or an issue or something like that, and that was rare because I try to avoid it. So when he would have called me, it was like, "Oh crap, what did I do wrong?" Right? Because that was always the thing. What did I do? Or what did one of the studios do? Or and it never was that. It was always a request of some kind or that kind of thing, But it didn't stop me from feeling that way because it was Grandmaster Shin.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a good man.
He was. It was. It's funny. I always have the story from when I went down to Argentina with Master Valentin and Grandmaster Bullard, and no, guys, we're going to take the bus, and then the wheels fall off, So there's always a great story with Grandmaster Shin, but it was a lot of fun. But so let's go into some of your history, and a couple of people are signing in and saying hello. But let's go into maybe a little bit of your history. What started you training in the martial arts?
I was kind of the mid 70s. Is when I pretty much started, 76 or something like that, 77, something like that. I can't remember the year actually anymore, but it was around there. And prior to that, I was a teenager just out of high school, and my ego was rampant back then. Of course, they had TV shows like Kung Fu, and Bruce Lee was super hot back then. Bill Wallace, Chuck Norris, all the movies, all the contact fighting as well. It fueled my testosterone, right? And so I decided, I needed some official. I would train with some friends that were martial artists, but I had no official training. So, and all we would do is spar, right, out on the lawn somewhere, and have the cops call on us a couple times. But I decided I need some official, training. So there were, at the time, there were several smaller schools, but there were basically two major schools. One was Japanese style Shitoryu, which is still here. Master Katsutaka Tanaka, the cat, is still here training. He's just an amazing man. But I, of course, joined a Korean. It was a Taekwondo place back then because they were known for their fighting, where Shitoryu was known for the whole art. And my ego, so I wanted to learn how to fight better, improve my fighting. So I did. That's where I joined. And I was there for several years, and I tested my Chodan. I was pretty shy. I still am a shy guy, but I was a pretty shy guy. And my very, very first experience, right? I says, okay, I'm it took a lot to decide to join, and I had to really push myself. So I walked into the studio, big window. There's a class going on, and I see all the shoes there. So I go, okay, I better take my shoes off. So I walk in, right, and there's a black belt teaching the class. There's probably 25, 30 people in the class. This was adults, and really didn't have too many kids classes. They had kids classes, but it was mostly adults back then. And I look over in the back office, where there's a window there, and this Korean guy was sitting there, the instructor, right, the owner. And he looked at me and he waved me over like this. So I went across the room, around the class, so across the room, and I walked right into his office. And I literally walked into his office because there was a chair, a desk, and he was sitting behind it. And sure enough, if he didn't stand up and start screaming at me at the top of his lungs in Korean, okay, number one. Number two, he was the biggest Korean guy I've ever seen, because he had to be 6'2", 6'3", something like that.
Wow.
And just that shock, oh my gosh, just that shock literally blew me out of the office. I mean, I jumped back and I was outside the office, and I had no idea what happened. Okay. And I had to make a decision at that moment. That was a life-changing decision, right? Do I stick it out, or do I leave? And no one would ever know me, right? I decided, I'd stick it out. I decided to stick it out and take my beating, whatever it was, I did. Well, it turns out I was supposed to bow before I enter his office. I had no idea. Right?
Yeah, this is the first time you're there. Right?
That was my very first exposure to an official studio, and he didn't speak much English, so anyway. It turned out that I just loved him. He was a terrible individual outside of the studio. A womanizer, a gambler, too much drinking and all that stuff. But inside the studio, when he was teaching, just amazing, unbelievable. It was just a real hard. Remember, back then it was a very authoritarian, militaristic style. And he had the stick under his, and he would whack people in the legs back then. So that was my exposure, and I loved that part of it. And I loved him. He was once he let you into that circle. So I earned my chodan from them, became an instructor there, and then he left, and he basically gave a couple of the black belts, one being me, the studio. And of course, we couldn't afford it, so we moved to another place. And anyway, long story short, that didn't work out very well. But we kept training there. And then I got a job, I had a job, but my job, I switched departments as a job in my job, and that required like 50, 60 hours a week. And I had my Linda, and the children were very small. So I had to focus on that. So I had to leave training because I was working so much for several years. And then Linda's little brother, my brother-in-law, he was a Tongsudo Chodan as a teenager in a what I call a renegade style, very small, school. That also.
Those guys Grandmaster Bowen used to call the outlaws.
Yeah, exactly. That pretty much was it, right? They taught by their own rules, but it was Tongsudo, right? And anyway, so his instructor left, and my instructor left, and I got a hold of my job much better. So we started training together. And then all of a sudden one day I found this Tongsudo school in town here in Anchorage. I'm going, whoa, Tongsudo, his style, okay, hey, this is an opportunity for both of us to train together officially, right? So we did. I was a Idan in Taekwondo at that time, and my brother-in-law was a Chodan in Tongsudo, and we went to this school, and it was World Tongsudo Association, so we joined up there, and it was, it wasn't exactly didn't really hit our expectations in terms of the quality of the school and all that. put it this way, I don't think I ever sweat once in a whole year when I was there, kind of thing.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what I thought. But and then I was telling you a little earlier,
Yes.
you know, they said you could transfer your rank. You'd have to test for your EDON. And I said no, and I can't do that. I don't know the young. I don't know the material. I don't know it, right? So I'd rather learn it. So we both of us did, and we were ready to test, and that's when Grandmaster Bowden came up. And he came up because there were some issues in the region. Grandmaster Shin sent him up to fix it, you know, and we had no clue about any of that at the time. We didn't know there was some rumblings between this school and the other schools in the state, and actually the region, which was Region 1. Also, Region 1 was all West Coast and Alaska, and I think Hawaii at the time. So it was a real big region. And Master Stein was the director, but he was out due to his work. So Master Khalid, who's no longer with us, was the interim director. So anyway, so Grandmaster Bowden came up and was, you know, he was going to all the schools trying to settle everyone down and fix, you know, smooth things over. And then on the very last day before he left, he stopped back into Anchorage and he tested me and my brother-in-law for Chodan. And I was, as I mentioned to you, I was pretty disappointed with the test. The test lasted 45 minutes for us. And that was because Grandmaster Bowden had to jump on an airplane. And you wouldn't want to miss an airplane if you're in Alaska, right? Because who knows, he'd be here another day or two at that time back then. So he ran a hard test, a good test, 45 minutes worth, and boom, he was gone. And so my brother-in-law, we were both kind of disappointed with that, but we recognized why that he had to leave, you know, and didn't blame him there. But we were kind of just disappointed. So we were actually gonna quit, and we were just about ready to quit. And all of a sudden, I got a phone call from Master Khalid, and he says, "Hey, I'm coming up there. Wanted to invite you and your brother-in-law down to the Kenai Peninsula, where he was going to do a test down there, and then he was going to stop in Anchorage." So I said, "I'll be in Anchorage. I'll teach a class. You know, make sure you're there." So it's okay. You know, we'll give it one last shot. So he was there. We went. He taught the class, and I sweat. Not only did I sweat, but after the class, I go, I have never met a master like that, with those kind of skills, with that kind of way. And he didn't know us from, you know, it was the first time he met us. Open hands, gave us both a big hug. And I'm going, I don't know what to do here. Right? I'm not used to that, right? Like I said, you know, our upbringing, we were very militaristic and authoritarian. And I'm just going, I don't know, you know. And but I got used to that real quick because it was genuine. And then we went down on the weekend for the clinic and tests, and just had a wonderful time. When we were down there, you know, if you know Master Khalid, he liked to spar, and he was good. My brother and I, we thought we were pretty decent, okay, and Master Khalid had a reputation. So we got down in this gym during a sparring clinic, and he came in with his boom box, right, and he had that thing cranked up the whole time, and we're in this gymnasium. And my brother and Bob and I said, "Hey, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?" Bob says, "Let me go first." I says, "Okay." I said, "Great, because I'm going to watch." So Bob gets up on, and Master Khalid gets up against the bleachers. Okay, so he can't go back, right? And I'm going, okay. So he gets up against the bleachers, and Bob comes in. You know, he comes in with his, you know, with basically a straight punch as fast as he can, right? Master Khalid just steps to the side and throws a back fist and pops him right here. Right here.
Yeah.
Not here, but right between the eyebrows. Okay. Bob goes down. And I go, oh, whoa, that was fast. So I run over, pick him. Oh, I'm fine. Let's do this again. I said, Master Colleen says, hey, are you sure you want to do this again? But yeah. He said, oh, I'm really sorry, man. You got me, you ran into it, right? So Bob gets up there and, he's all, and he comes in, he throws a different thing. Master Khalid steps aside, does the exact same thing, and pops him in the same place. Oh, it was so funny. It was humbling is what it was. It was very humbling. And then it was my turn, of course, and I didn't do much better. I tried to set up some fakes and stuff, but I mean, he could read me like a mile away. And I like to take credit for maybe I hit him. I'm not sure, but maybe I did. But that was about it. Long story short, that weekend clearly changed our minds. I mean, it was like, this is it. This is it. This is the place. We were so sore after that weekend that we had to fly back, and we flew into Anchorage here, and we literally had to hold each other up. We were so sore and tired. The cops came and checked on us because they thought we were drunks. No, we just need help here. So anyway, it was funny. So that was the beginning. That was World Tongue Sudo. But after that, okay, so I started learning more about World Tongue, about Grandmaster Shin. I started doing a little bit of research there, and by chance, he was flying through Anchorage on his way to Korea to see his family, and he calls, and it's like, oh, and I happened to work at the airport there in the international side, so, and then I had an office set up there that would be real comfortable for him during the transit time that they were there. So anyway, he was there. He was with a couple of friends. I don't know if they were family or not. They were Korean. And I was very used to working with Koreans. And, and I have to tell you, Grandmaster Shin is not, doesn't like any of the Koreans I've met. Anyway, so we sat and we met, and I was pretty quiet because it's like, wow, Grandmaster, he wants to meet with me and talk with me. And we sat and we talked for the hour that he was there. And he didn't say a word to the family or friends that were with him the whole time. He did not say a word to them. He was just speaking to me. And all we talked about was Tongue Sudo and, who he was, where he came from, and all this. And he was asking me all this, and I got to know him a little bit, and I could just feel it. When he left, it was like, this is home. This is home. This is it. Okay. He has vision. I believe in what he says. He has passion. And that was it. That was it. Hook, line, and sinker right there for me. Yeah.
That's great. That's a great, those are a couple of great stories right there. And one of the things I caught at the beginning that you were saying is how we were talking when you were first going in, and you were shy. And so many people you hear as students that say that's one of the things that they had, about them when they started training was they were shy. I'm a very shy person myself. But it's funny you say that. I just always think of though whenever you see you at like the Masters Clinic or the World Championships or something like that, you're always very open and very ready to say hello and friendly, even though that you have that, if you have that shyness there, you're still very open and friendly to, always to me at least. I'm sure you are to everybody else as well, but I'm just going from my own personal experience. So.
I was an introvert when I was young, and there's no doubt, man, Tongue Sudo, if you're going to be an instructor, you need to communicate. And I need, in my case, I need to just get over myself and that weakness, and it's just exposure and practice, right? And I'm still uncomfortable in many settings, but it's like learning a hyung or anything, anything that's challenging, right? When you live by these rules, and I got a list of rules here, and one of the things is, if you're afraid of something, or pick something you're afraid of and go do it. And that clearly was one of them. Another one is dancing, but that's another story. I'm really bad at that. But
we have a number of people we got tuning in and watching. A couple of people have actually sent in put in a couple of comments and questions here. So the first one that we got was from a Brittany Kneebone, and she's asking, can you tell us what are some of the challenges and obstacles you faced early in your training, and what do you think are some of the largest obstacles facing students when they start training nowadays?
Well, for me, I mean, it was a different generation, a different world. Martial arts, they've evolved so much for the better. Back when I was still learning, it was all about, it was ego and fighting. It was sparring. In our case, we did young, but that wasn't the emphasis by any means. So it wasn't it was kind of lopsided in terms of what the curriculum was. But personally, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to fight more, better, and all that. And then you quickly learn, over several years, you quickly learn that there's always somebody better. And boy, did I learn that, right? And when you become humbled like that several times, many times, you quickly either want to get better, or you realize that your ego gets tamed, put it that way. My ego got tamed pretty well. And then the older you get, especially when I joined Tang Soo Do, right? The older I got, it was like, Hyung are pretty cool. There's a lot to Hyung. And these days, to me, I mean, Hyung is the essence of our art. It's pure Tang Soo Do. And there's so much, you can spend a lifetime in our Hyung, picking them apart and figuring out what it is and how can I do it better, faster, harder, all that. So my biggest challenge was probably that transition, but I needed the time. Because I'm a slow learner, to figure out what the priorities are for me. I think I got them down pretty decent now in terms of priorities. So that would be, I guess, my biggest challenge was myself. For a student these days, pre coronavirus, for a student these days, I mean, most of the kids are pretty young, and I'm so glad. It was definitely a right thing to do to get my children in as young as I could, and they were about 5 years old, I think, back then, and that was considered, wow, that's super young. But it was like our time together too, right? It was me and the kids' time. That was our time together, and we would go to class and train. And that's very special. I'll never forget that. It was very precious to me. And I think what I was able to teach them, or what they were able to absorb from all the years, would definitely, without a doubt, impacted their lives for the better. There's no doubt in my mind. So as a parent, I feel really, really good that I made that move. A little different from sports, which they also did, but sports were kind of seasonal, and this was, I had rules in our family. We had the things was you have to do well in school. In other words, spend the time in school. You have to train in Tang Soo Do, okay, until you are a Chodanbo. Then you can decide. And then third one was you have to have fun doing other things and explore other things that you may want to do. So those were the kind of the house rules that the kids did, and they Stephanie continued, and my son, he was going into high school, got his Chodanbo, and said, "Dad, can I do another sport?" I said, "Absolutely." Right. So he kind of set it aside, and Stephanie went and continued it. And now to this day, Stephanie's not training now, but she's got a young family, 4 kids. But she's a Samdan, and her husband Nick is also a Samdan in Tang Soo Do. They're just they got family right now. But my son in Seattle is still teaching Tang Soo Do. And he's got his kid in it. our grandson. So that. Yeah, and there's no doubt that tongue sudo for a youngster is a really, really good thing as long as the parents stick with it. Almost making mandatory. No discussion here. You have to do this. You'll have, and they always have fun. So, but for a kid these days, I think all those benefits are there. There's no doubt about it. All those benefits are there. And I think it more has a lot to do maybe with the parents too, supporting that and believing it and reinforcing it and making sure that the kid goes for a long period of time, right? And that way the kid can develop relationships with the instructors, right? And start trusting and believing and family, a second family kind of thing. So yeah, that's what happened with our family anyway.
Absolutely. It's funny you talk about that relationship and that growth and getting close to everybody. Is we were doing just before the end of last year around New Year's, we were doing I was doing a 24-hour charity event, and we were doing it at Anthony Rocco's house, where you stayed there when you came to the region.
Yep.
His oldest daughter was home from college, and we were helping to get stuff out of somebody's car, and I've taught her since she was 3 years old, and she's now she's a junior in college. So 20 years, 18 years, we've known her and done stuff, and her and I at the same time just said the same thing, and she was just like, that was really scary. I'm like, hey, Justine, I've known you since you're 3. She's like, yeah, we've spent a little bit of time together, and you get right. Not many sports do you get that length and relationship that you develop with people. It's amazing.
That's right, and they'll never forget you. They'll never forget you. So yeah, I'm real. When I was in Guam, we had Guam was just a beautiful island paradise, and my work took me there. So anyway, so I made sure, because I needed to have the health side of it. And I wanted to, so I opened up a studio there, and it was at a gym, health center, and start getting the student numbers up, and I didn't charge much, because it wasn't, Grandmaster Shin always used to yell at me because my numbers were so low. You're in the biggest city and you have, okay, well, but in Guam I didn't charge much, because I just wanted to train, and I wanted students to learn, right? So I kept it low, and honest, like a lot of us, they don't charge anything for some students that just couldn't do it. Anyway, I still stay in contact, and that was early 90s. I still stay in contact with a few of the students there that there were 3 or 4. They were teenagers at the time, and they always hung together, right? And they always came to class together. They did everything together, right? And they just turned out terrific. They've all got families now. They send me, off Facebook, and I stay in touch with them, right? And it's just really, really sweet. It makes you feel good that we had that relationship together.
Yeah, that is great. So another person that's asked a question over here is Tom Lyons has said Master Wick was a great leader and master. Can you share some Master Wick stories?
Well, he was.
And there's some that I'm sure that we can't tell that we're here that have to.
There's some I won't tell, but if I was to give any advice to anyone, I would say, with Master Wick, do not travel with the man. Meet him at the destination. Okay, number 1. When I first met him, I did not like him. I thought he was a jerk. Oh my God. And then, of course, you get some exposure to him. And then he starts telling you all these stories that they can't possibly be true. I'm going, you're full of it. And I talked to other people. I says, no, I was there. That's exactly the way it happened. And more people like this, right? So what I learned over time was everything he said, as crazy as it sounded, it was absolutely true. For you know, I hope he rests in peace. But he should have passed away a lot younger than he did. He had a broken neck from riding a bike accident when he was younger, when he was a gang biker. He had a broken neck, so he couldn't turn his neck like this. He'd have to turn like this, right? And what I always say, especially when testing, whoever he's testing with, he says, whatever you do, don't turn my neck because it's broken, right? Because it'll kill me instantly, right? And I'm going, wow, okay. And he's still out there doing this stuff, right? So yeah, Master Wick, I mean, he was, I cannot tell you, he was a closest thing I had to a brother. I could not wait to see him again there, and I'd get up there in Fairbanks as often as he could, and he'd come down, we go fishing, and you wouldn't believe the fishing stories, right? It was always pretty crazy. But he started split second, and he says, Roy, you need to come up here. I want to show you some stuff. I want you to test some stuff out. I got some stuff I want to show you, and I want you to test me on it. I said, sure, I'll be right up. He didn't call it split second then. He called it something else. Can't remember what he called it. But so I went up there, and he does all this knife stuff, and he said, okay, put this knife on my neck, and I want you to try and kill me. I said, you sure? This wasn't a real knife, but I said, you sure? He says, yeah. I want you to try to do everything you can to kill me. Okay, right? So of course I couldn't, right? And he'd have it on my neck, what the heck just happened here, right? And I'd start laughing because it was just funny to me, right? And I says, okay, well, let me try to kill you again a few times. And then he would start laughing because I was getting so frustrated that I couldn't kill him, right? He starts laughing. And we were literally in his studio running around. I was chasing him, trying to kill him, right? I couldn't do it. We had such a good time. And anyway, yeah, so that's where I learned split second from with him. We did that many times. And, what was funny with him, I mean, Master Wick, I mean, what you see is what you get, right? I mean, there is literally no organizational factor around anything that he does, right? And so split second started here. And, he would teach me all these modifications as, well, we changed this to this, and we changed that to that, and here's why, and all that. And it would literally go from here all the way around back to where it started, right? And I'm going, wait a minute, that's where you started. He goes, no, it isn't. No, that's exactly where you started. He goes, no, it isn't. I said, yeah, you went here, 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 and now we're back to here after 2 years, right? He goes, no, it isn't. It's totally different, right? But that was him, That's just the way. I mean, he just went with nature. I mean, well, I don't know how else to say it. The which way there was the wind blowing, and that's. But his split second, in terms of any close quarters, defensive close quarters stuff with weapons or even hand. I've not found anything better than that. And I was searching around. I mean, that there for a while that was actually one of the things on my list. And by chance, he called me up, and he was been working on this stuff because they have long winters, right? They have long winters. As a Master Wick, why do you enjoy living in Fairbanks where it gets 40 below for like a month? And he says, well, I just like it. He says, look, first of all, I have no life, so I can come up with all these new techniques, split second, which is what he did. And he started training and pulled in a small group of guys, and they started testing it. And it's an incredible system. I mean, once you understand the body, what the body does, the nervous system, and how reactions and actions are beatable. That's really valuable information if you think about it. If you ever get caught in that situation, right? The goal is not to get caught in a close quarter situation like that. But But if you are, you know that there is actually a very good chance that you can survive it. So, yeah, that was a dream he gave me.
That stuff was wonderful though. And anytime I got the chance to train with him at the Masters Clinic, I remember my wife Lauren, I don't remember if it was first year or her second year at the Masters Clinic. It was what Master Wick was. Everyone knew he was ill and he wasn't doing well, and he was still doing he was a last minute addition to the schedule. He was going to teach, and I said to her, I'm like, I don't care what who's running the candidates or what's going on. You're going to that. Just you need to go to this. Just skip anything else. Go to it. Yep. And thankfully she did do it, and she got to enjoy it. And then unfortunately he passed away. Not I think the next year, and she still loves it, and it was great. And I had the opportunity a couple of times with Grandmaster Bowden coming back to the Masters thing, sitting in the airport, and you or Master Wick and Master Wick would come in or just hang in that little lounge before security. And he would sit down and he would start telling those stories. And as you said, they were too outrageous to be made up sometimes. It was just, it's like, he has to be telling the truth. You couldn't come up with the details that go into this story to make it fake.
That's exactly the way it happened. Whatever came out of his mouth is the truth. That is exactly the way it happened. Yeah. Yeah. He was an amazing man, amazing friend. He was, my very first year, I think it was 1999. The Masters Clinic. My first roommate was Master K. Rest in peace, sir. He was my very first roommate for the first 2 years. And what a nice man. And then after that, my roommate from then was Master Wick. And after he passed away, I just couldn't have another roommate. I just couldn't do it, So, so I got my own room kind of thing. But I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Oh yeah, that's very understandable.
Yeah.
So Master Kevin Robinson has asked a question here, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can Master Uttech talk about his master's test and the awesome performance he and his brother-in-law put on?
Well, we did our best. We were as candidates. We were that was the first year that we were there. That the testing cycle for master's rank. So they went 2 years candidate and an additional year for master's. So it was a 3-year process for us, and it was the first. As the beginning, we were the beginning class for that, I guess. And my brother-in-law and I, back then, as with everybody there, we had no clue what we were getting into. We had no idea what the Master Clinic was going to be. So we did our best to just do the best we could, right? No idea. And so with that attitude, with that spirit, we're just going to do the very, very best we can, no matter what. No matter what, we're going to do the very best we can, which is what we did. Try not to get in trouble, although Master Britt did yell at us a couple times.
I think he just yelled at everybody. He was part of his character. He just had to yell at people a little bit.
I don't see how he did it. He was on the other side of the gym, okay, and we were working Ilsusix or something, and I took somebody down kind of gently because they don't hurt anyone, right? I mean, I did the technique. I just and then took him down, right? And as soon as I had her down, I heard Master Britt just screaming at the top of his lungs at me, "Mr. Uttech, what the heck are you doing? You doing it again? You do it like you mean it." "Yes, sir." Got her up, and I just went after her, and that was that, right? So, but yeah, he yelled at us for a couple times. He had eyes in the back of his head. He was very good at that. Anyway, so yeah, we just did our best. When the test came around, we're exhausted. That, it was the evening tests, right? After training for a couple of days nonstop, and of course no sleep and all that. Yeah, and here's the other thing for you candidates out there that get the test in the middle of the afternoon now. Okay, so we had to test at night And that test seemed like it went so much longer. I mean, it was 2:30, 3 o'clock by the time we started at 10. And, by the time we got back to the hotel, it was 3 o'clock or later. And of course, everyone was still up.
Oh, yes.
Which is so cool. But as we're leaving, Master Britt says, oh, by the way, here, he gives us 10 questions. It was you need to write 10 essay answers to these questions by 6 in the morning.
Oof.
It's like, what? Right?
Can't see straight at that point.
I have no idea what I wrote. I have no idea what I wrote. And then, of course, we didn't do Qigong back then, right, in the morning. Yep. We did, what was it called?
I've heard there was lots of different things that happened, cardio kickboxing, all that.
Cardio kickboxing, yeah, that's exactly what it was. It's like, are you kidding me, right? So cardio kickboxing, yeah. But actually, after, we were so tired, but after that class, it was like, oh, yeah, this woke us up. So that part of it was nice. But yeah, it was hard to get up sometimes. I remember a couple of candidates, I won't mention their names, but they know who they are. A couple of candidates were late one morning. Because Grandmaster should, he said. And they were late, and Grandmaster called them up in front of the whole group and made them apologize to everybody. And I'm just sitting there, whoa. Anyway, so I was never late after that, for sure, ever, ever. But yeah, our test was awesome. We had the whole group had an awesome test. But we tested in the place that we would eat food, right, there, instead of over in the gym. Flowers. So we tested there back then. We didn't have as many people, and we trained there too. And that night we tested. We were doing. I was just exhausted, and we're going up in relays to do the hyung, and we were doing sword. We were doing Janggum, and we were the next relay up, and we were spaced apart because it was Janggum. And my brother-in-law was to my left, about 10 feet away, and we were just exhausted. I was literally holding onto my sword, and putting weight on it. I took a knee. You take a knee. We're waiting for the next, like this, and there was a puddle of sweat under me. I mean, a puddle of sweat. The doors were open, and it was just hot and muggy that night. Just hot and muggy, and it started to rain. And we were just, I was like, oh, wow, am I dehydrated? Am I tired? Am I, my attitude was just weak, right? And all of a sudden, there was a crack of lightning, thunder that was so loud, it shook. It shook. I felt it go through my body. It was like, whoa, like that. And it's like the Terminator when he's down like this and he looks up, right, Arnie? I was down like this. I looked up at my brother-in-law. He looks up at me, and we go, yeah, let's do this, right? And it just recharged us. It was like, I've never felt that before, never have since then. But the timing was perfect. That lightning strike just charged us up, and we went for it after that. So yeah. It was good memories. Really
And
good.
Master Robinson did say he said the best test I ever saw. So he paid you that compliment there, sir.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, Master Robinson. I appreciate coming from you. That means a lot. Thank you, sir.
And speaking of candidates, one of the somebody is asking, he goes, what advice would you give to new masters and masters candidates?
Advice? Yeah. And I was told this too, but it was easy to say but hard to understand. As soon as you get your master's rank, you will be viewed differently. Although inside you feel the same. You come back from the master's clinic or you get promoted, your students will view you differently. You now have additional responsibility, and you now have an example clearly that you must set at that Kodanja rank. You will be viewed differently because you are. You just don't know it. You just don't know it. And until you realize that, and I don't mean it from an ego point of view, it's more about a responsibility, caring and sharing responsibility more so, because it's just the way it is in our association. It is a duty to me. I've always looked at it that way, as a duty. I thought, I've had some students in the past say, so you got your time in, you got all your qualifications in, and I know you're a quality student, you know your stuff, and so okay, let's go ahead and test. Oh, no, I'm not ready. I go, well, what do you mean you're not ready? I've seen you, I know you. Okay. No, I'm not ready. I need to work. No. I said, no, no, that's a cop out. Okay. It is your duty to test. It is your duty to set the example for your students. Okay. You have to do that, and you'll do great, right? But it is your duty. It's not a I'm not ready thing. You have to test. You must. And I've always kind of had that attitude, right? I mean, for us, right? We got to write a thesis, and at least my age, it's like, oh man, I got to work. I'm gonna, soon after my last test, I need to start working out to 5-6 years later for the next semester.
Start writing now for
right? Yeah. And then on top of all that, we got to do a thesis, right? And I'm jokingly kidding about it, but because the thesis is a completely different journey in itself. What an experience. And I was saddened. Well, I was kind of saddened, and I was kind of happy when they said after a certain rank, right, you don't have to write a thesis. But my point, my opinion on that is, in terms of writing a thesis, you learn so much more by writing it. Why wouldn't we do that? I mean, it's a lot of hard work. Yeah, it is, in a totally different way that I'm not used to doing, or wasn't used to doing. It's a different discipline. It really is. But yeah, so I'm happy and I'm sad.
Yeah, yes.
Probably mostly happy. But,
I'm just glad they don't scale with time. Like, for fourth down, it's this number of words, but I'm glad the number of words didn't have to.
Right.
That would have been even more challenging. At least that didn't happen. At least it's the same amount.
Well, I mean, I'm really glad that it's a requirement, because it is, and for some folks, and it used to be that you had to write this thesis, and some folks had a really difficult time doing it. Their grammar wasn't good, all this stuff, and they're embarrassed by it. But that wasn't the point at all, right? And now these days, got a great group of masters that are just way smarter than I'll ever be, that are mentoring and helping and walking through these candidates and at every level they need to make sure that the thesis is correct, right? Written correctly. You pick the topic, and you do the research. We're gonna help you if you're not used to it, how to write it in a way that it can be shared with all of us.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It is. So Master Jorgensen is asking a question here. He says, can you talk about your firearm training and how that relates to traditional martial arts?
Oh, okay. You got about 5 hours?
I got nothing to do.
So Master Jorgensen, I've been watching your interviews too, and they're awesome. I didn't know, Master Heiss. I just didn't know much about her, and what an interesting person she is. What a good people. So these interviews are just awesome for that. As far as firearms, it's probably 20 years ago, maybe more. I decided that I was lacking in what I would call street defensive skills. I wanted to improve my street defensive skills. So I kind of looked at the art side of it and put it over here, and I said I need to develop skills that are going to, be more modern, I guess. And within that street side, it would hand to hand, a little bit of groundwork at the time, and weapons, right? Probably a club, staff, whatever you're probably most likely going to see on the streets. It's going to be a club, a stick, club, a knife, and a firearm, a handgun or a long gun, which in Alaska there are a lot of, right? But that's because up here, okay, we have animals that can eat us, right?
And they just roam freely on the streets, from what I hear. That's why I haven't been up there.
Pretty much, not that often, but yeah, pretty much, So, I mean, we got moose walking through our yard very, very frequently. Probably 10 this year so far. Anyway, so I wanted to improve my skills to defend against those type of weapons as well. So I decided also that the best way to defend against a specific weapon was to learn how to use it. So you get kind of both sides. So as it related to sticks and clubs, that's stuff we actually have a pretty decent curriculum in terms of how to do that. And then knife, I kind of researched around, even worked with Master K on some of that. But I kind of worked in my own method out, and I trained in knife, pretty much knife fighting, I would call it, for several years, and developed my own methods, and which closely related to split second as well, in terms of understanding reaction, managing time, and so forth, reactive time. But as related to firearms, I decided that I needed to get some professional training, take some professional classes. And I didn't realize the type of classes were available to civilians that are. So I called this place up. It's called Alaska Tactical. And this guy answers the phone. He goes, Alaska Tactical? I go, yeah. And I just said a few words, and he goes, is this Roy Uttech? And I go, yeah. Is this Steve McDaniel? Okay. He's an old friend of mine. When I was 18 or 19, he was like 16, and our moms knew each other. And we used to go shooting and camping and hunting and hiking and all that stuff back then, right? And just so out of the blue, I'm going, this is meant to be. So I started training with him, and learning basically the foundation and so forth, and training, and then started teaching. Teaching as well, and different levels of the classes, foundation level, and you get a little more advanced, and then long guns and shotguns and all that stuff. So that's kind of how all that happened, and then I started exploring more into. There are some awesome instructors across the nation that are kind of very good at their little specific area, right? So I started taking classes from these guys around the nation so that I can learn their way of how they shoot, why they do this. A lot of them are either law enforcement or special forces, military, competitors, and a combination of all that. And so I've learned a lot, and learned a lot using their methods. Matter of fact, I'm going to at the beginning of July, I'm going to go down to Seattle and train with a guy I took a class with before. It's like I would call it, the modern sword. And I treat firearms like a martial arts weapon. You must be safe. Remember the days we used to use, live blades, live dangum and jangdum, until people started cutting themselves and stabbing themselves and cutting toes off, so that kind of stuff. And that's because the exposure to those weapons wasn't enough, right? And therefore you made mistakes. You didn't do it enough. You didn't respect the weapon enough, right? Well, these days you can take a firearms class on a weekend, and what I call false confidence. You walk out of that class thinking, oh, yeah, I'm trained now, right? That's the farthest thing from the truth. You need to train, get professional training, learn all about safety, make that a discipline, a way to live in terms of safety and handling those type of weapons, just like you would a live sword. So I looked at it as a martial art, as a matter of fact, there is a martial art that I'm involved with called Hojutsu, which is the art of shooting, the modern art of shooting, and it takes a lot of the students are law enforcement that train in that. So we do obviously a lot of firearm shooting, and then we also do the disarms and. What if somebody comes after your weapon on your holster, and how do you do this, and how do you fight from the ground with the weapon, and that kind of thing. So it's pretty well rounded. And then we also do trauma care, right? How to use a tourniquet and how to just the whole realm is if you carry a weapon or shoot a weapon of any kind, then you need to be practiced in all realms around that weapon. Why wouldn't you? So, but yeah, it's something I do enjoy. It's kind of on the expensive side, so I need to budget all that stuff. And I'm not the kind of guy that buys all kinds of just like my swords, right? I think I got one association sword, or at least from Master Con from many years ago. It's all beat up, and I tried to make one as well, and I use that, but that's it. That's all I got. And when it comes to firearms, I'm the same. I'll buy one firearm, and I will use it and use it and use it until it is intimate with me. I know it. I know it inside and out. Right? And that's from a self-defense perspective. That makes a lot of sense to me. So it's the modern sword, what it is, and it's treated with great respect. Great respect.
That makes a ton of sense, and it's very logical too there, sir, because and you mentioned about that intimacy, that understanding of it. And I say to our students, my students all the time, with even the tongue stow weapons that they use, I said, they get a staff, and they pick that up. They're used to playing with a stick or a shovel or something in that shape. They're used to in their hands. So when they start to use it, they pick it up relatively quickly because they're kind of used to having something like that. When they pick up a knife, they're used to a knife. Even if it's just cutting food, they're used to having a knife in their hand and how it works. But most of the time when you get students, and I see it, with first degree black belts all the way up through people at the master's clinic, you see people, they pick up a sword, they get handed a sword, said, here, go do a sword form. And they've never held a sword in their hand before. So they don't understand how the weapon moves, what it should feel like, how it should. And I'm sure the firearms training is the exact same thing. People, do their weekend course and then I know how to shoot a gun, and I can.
Yeah. They're just really naive about it, right? It's like a kitchen knife, right? I mean, it's nothing to any of us to take a kitchen knife and start chopping stuff up. No problem. You don't cut yourself. Once in a while you do, okay, but you don't cut yourself, right? But the first few times you did that, you were very careful, right? It's like driving a vehicle, right? I mean, the first few times you drive, it's like, oh, but now it's like nothing. Seatbelt, go, okay, look everywhere, and because it's ingrained, you've done it so much that you're disciplined enough to know, and you're safe and aware of it. So yeah, firearms is unforgiving. You make a mistake, and it is unforgiving. So
Absolutely,
it is. Yeah.
So another hobby that is not necessarily martial arts related that I've been watching you on Facebook and been seeing stuff you've posted about is in the last year, 2 years, it seems you've gotten into woodworking a lot, right, sir?
Yeah. Yep. I have. I've been doing woodworking for at least 10 years, but it's a time thing. I didn't have time. And then the projects I would take, my goal with woodworking was to start collecting the tools, and they're kind of mediocre tools. They're not the high end or the low end, right, power wise. But my goal was to start building furniture, and I didn't know it at the time, but within furniture, there's all kinds of styles, right, of furniture, right? And so my long-term goal was to build what's called a highboy, a Philadelphia highboy. And they were made in the 1800s, 1700s. And back then they did it all by hand. How do they do that, right? And they're about 7 feet tall, and they have these beautiful wood curved bonnets and things on it. And back then they used their furniture as their safe, because nobody could afford to buy an iron safe. They would put hidden drawers in them, right, for documents. They would put and then they would build hidden drawers inside of a drawer and so forth, so it would hide their valuables back then. So my goal in the long run was to build a highboy, one of these with just a beautiful piece. So each project I did taught me a skill that would apply towards that highboy. So that was my goal going through. But you're right, the last probably several months, I've been doing a lot of smaller projects. And that's because I'm unemployed right now. And then COVID as well, voluntarily unemployed. Linda calls it my semi-retirement. Because that was my plan. Once I do retire, I need something to do. Well, I'm going to woodwork. I'm going to build furniture. I'm going to build nice furniture, right? And it is a discipline. It is a discipline. You can, if you're stressed out with work or whatever, you can go into this world of woodworking and build a piece of art. So that's what I've been doing since I left my job, and then COVID hit too. So it was a perfect opportunity to do that. So that's what I've been doing. Learning skills, keep learning. And one of these days I'm gonna go after that highboy. It's mine. I own it.
I was gonna say I want to see those pictures on Facebook. That looks they've been amazing. I'm not very good at woodworking at all, so I see that, and I'm very impressed of the skills that you've done and the things.
As they say, measure twice, cut once. In my case, measure 3 times, cut once, throw it away because you screwed it up, buy more wood. And they say buy 20% more wood than you think you need. I buy 50% more wood. My name is Drunken Termite.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome, sir. Well, we've run pretty much through. Usually we do these for about an hour, and we've torn through this hour, and this was great, sir. Thank you so much for doing this. We had I think we hit 20 active people at one point watching this. We've had a lot of people commenting, so this has been great. So thank you so much for doing this. This has been a pleasure.
Well, thank you for doing this for all of our students. I think it's great I'm learning about other masters. And the other nice thing is if I can't catch it live, you can always go back and watch. I know Master Robinson, I think was getting interviewed too. I want to watch his, and Master Merrill, and just a bunch. So it's awesome to be able to do this. This interactive stuff is just opened up all kinds of new worlds. I mean, we're doing international classes. I'm working with the candidates now every other weekend. We got 45 candidates hooking up every other Saturday, and we're training from around the world. I mean, this is just a wonderful in my garage. This is just a wonderful. COVID's so bad, but this is one of the nice things about it. So,
absolutely, sir.
Anyway, I hope that. I just wanted to mention this. Speaking of the COVID, I hope that our students and everybody, just if you've been impacted hard, I know people out there have lost their jobs, their businesses, they're gotten sick, and I just my heart is out there, for you guys. I've been very fortunate. Linda and I have been so fortunate. It just pains me to think of others that are hurting so bad. So anyway, my heart's with you, everybody out there. If you're going through that bad time, it'll get better. I promise.
It absolutely will. And I know, I'm not sure what the status of everything up is in Alaska, but I know at least down here we're looking. Hopefully, I think they're saying the 20th of this month we're going to actually be able to start in studio training, and possibly we can actually start. I think Master Alton already started doing some. They're allowing us to do outdoor training, so we're all starting to, at least in Connecticut, start actually getting back together in person again. So that, I think that's been the thing that's everybody's been missing. Grandmaster Bodwin always used to say, he goes, whenever you have problems or your life is getting too much, you just got to put your dobak on, go on the floor and train for a while, and all that other stuff will go away. And I think that's what so many of us have been missing. I think I can't wait to get for all of us really to get back there together and train.
It's a sanctuary for us. It truly is. It's a sanctuary. And by the way, we were talking about introverts earlier and being shy, and you were talking about you're being shy.
Yes, sir.
There must have been a couple of tests that you were my partner on something or whatever. Okay, you weren't that shy. All right, I'm just saying, you were not that shy. I mean, I was covered and everything. All right, so yeah.
That for me, it's one of those things. You get to the test, and I understand why they do it a lot of times at the Masters Camp, where they give you like that hour, that hour afternoon training, the 2 hours in the afternoon to train this, that. I know for my last test, I wasn't going over my forms, I wasn't going over everything else. It was just trying to make get the brain focused, because it's like, no, I'm going into that test, and I tell my students this all the time. I say it to them: when you go into a test, you go into a tournament, you go into anything, your mindset, your training beforehand's done. That you're right past that. If you did your training, you're good, but you have to have the right mental focus to go into a test. And if you're going to a test, it's like you're breaking boards. Your plan is to destroy whatever's in front of you and go after it. Not the people, but the test itself. You have to attack it, because that's the only way you get through it. If you hold something back, the only person you're cheating is yourself.
That's right. Trust your training. There was one year, maybe it's for Odon. Yeah, it was for Odon. Year one, I tested, and that's with the cane form, right? That we had it was a new form, and I'd been doing it, training pretty hard, and I go, I got this. I got this, right? I was, it was what I call false confidence again, right? I got this. I got it done. Right. So I get out on the floor and I froze. I blanked. Okay. I didn't got this. Okay. I didn't train hard enough. My training wasn't good enough to where it was automated. I had to think about it. And as soon as you have to think about it, I'm pretty screwed. Right. So it was an embarrassing thing for me. I'd never done that in a test before. And I went home and I said, okay, I got another year. Okay, I'm going to work on this, right? So the next year comes along, and man, did I have that film. That young was super lightning fast, and I had it down, okay? And right at the end, okay, you're actually in a handball, one-legged stance, standing there. And I got done so quick and so early that I'm standing here trying to keep my balance, and I'm looking at everyone else, and I'm going, oh, wow, okay, right. Anyway, I got it. I got it.
I didn't practice.
Yeah, right. So trust your training. Definitely trust your training. As long as your training is good, trust it. It'll be there for you. Yeah, for sure. So.
Well, thank you again, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's a pleasure. I'm sure people are going to watch this over the next few days, but thank you again. This has been a pleasure. We're gonna end this. I think it just on the whatever on the software here just kind of will end it, so you'll probably just drop off right away. So I'm not sure if we'll be on to talk afterwards. But thank you again, sir.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Say hi to everyone over there for me.
Absolutely, sir. Have a good night. Tung Su.
Tung Su.